Hello, my friends. Today is July the 4th, 2020, the 244th anniversary of the day that a group of brave immigrants, at that time mostly from the British Isles, declared their independence from King George III of England, and a nation called the United States of America was born. So happy birthday, America, on this July 4th. And on this special occasion, I want to share some thoughts with you about our nation, both its past, its present, and even more importantly, its future. What I share with you is inspired by something written by a person whom I follow on Twitter, but I've considerably revised, edited, and expanded what that person wrote to, in most ways, make this statement truly my own. Now, this is not a sermon, nor do my words represent the official position of the congregation that I serve or the governing body of the denomination that I serve. These are my thoughts, an expression of my convictions. They hold final authority only for me, and even then they are subject to change. Nevertheless, let me begin. We all know, mostly by heart, the words that preface the document called the Declaration of Independence. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men and women and children, we might add, are created equal and are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. These words are what we might call the American Creed, not the Apostles' Creed, but the American Creed. These revolutionary words are among the most important that have ever been put to paper by the mind and hand of humankind. The story of America has been of the great struggle to close the gap between the perfection of that ideal, or at least its loftiness, and our flawed present. Today, the struggle continues. We are an imperfect nation made up of what we followers of Christ know very well to be imperfect people. That's us. We've all sinned and fall short of the glory of God, as the book of Romans reminds us. As Abraham Lincoln declared, we are a nation of the people, by the people, and for the people. Let us recognize at long last on this July 4th that our founding ideal of equality must include all of us, regardless of skin tone, gender, language, income, sexual orientation, gender identity, or any other of what we think of as a distinguishing or differentiating feature. We are the only nation in the history of the world to be founded on the power of an idea and an ideal. And that idea has lit the darkness and been a beacon to the hopeless and oppressed people of the world for 244 years now. We are the only country in the history of the world made up of people from every nation and every people on the earth. It's reminiscent of biblical language, is it not? God's description of God's kingdom, nation from every people, from every tribe and tongue and people and nation. We are the only nation on earth where every language of the world is spoken somewhere within our borders every day. And I would say to you that this is our glory and not our weakness. Arguably, the United States of America has fed more hungry people, cured more sick and dying people, and liberated more oppressed people than all of the other nations of the world put together since the beginning of time. We have been a center for scientific achievement, medical advancement, bold exploration, invention, and commerce for more than 100 years. There's a reason that the 20th century was called the American century. The American story, therefore, is always one of becoming. It is always unfolding. It is always unfinished. It is the story of confronting our sins, injustices, hypocrisies, and failures, and moving ever closer to what the Puritan preacher John Winthrop called that shining city on a hill. The single best way for us to celebrate this 4th of July, then, is to renew our devotion to the building of the great American Republic. Let us together understand that it is our collective duty to forge a more perfect union and to fight to close the gap between our manifold injustices and inequalities and our beautiful ideal. America is suffering this July 4th in part because we are divided by a hateful and ignoble leader whose creed is one of resentment, suspicion, racism, anti-intellectualism, and most of all, white supremacy, which is America's original sin. Yet we may still dare to hope that this man and his craven enablers will not leave an indelible stain on our national character. The outcome, though, is up to us. The spiritual and moral battle before us is less about an election than it is about what kind of people we shall be. Narrow, obsessed with racial purity, divisive, fear-filled, hateful, and drawn in on ourselves, or something better and higher, appealing to what Lincoln called the better angels of our nature? Will we be truly free people, free to love, to lift up the poor, release the captives, and bind up the brokenhearted? Or will we be bound up in the chains of greed, of stupefying contempt for science, medicine, history, and reason, callous disregard for the poor, and hatred of anyone who doesn't look like us, talk like us, or vote like us? The choice is ours. We are all connected together through this brief moment of time that we share together as Americans. We're also connected through the ages to the Americans who have bequeathed this grand and imperfect experiment to us, and to our children, grandchildren, and those yet born who will one day take our place as custodians of the Republic. We are stewards for a brief time of the greatest constitutional republic known to humankind. Let us therefore resolve to strengthen it and to love one another as fellow countrymen and countrywomen, Americans, every one, in a land where no one is less than and everyone is as equal before the law as they are in the eyes of God. Now, we have a lot of work to do. The fires of injustice still burn, and it is ours to extinguish them. It is ours before God and our neighbors to fearlessly examine our own hearts and to pour truth's redeeming light on every shadow of prejudice and fear that lurks there, so that we may be healed and our nation strengthened. Let us not miss our moment. Let us rise to the challenges of the day. By God's mercy, may it be so. Happy 4th of July, everyone.